Hi, welcome back to Grant's shop. Unfortunate news. My camels turned khaki. Oh well, I think I kind of like that color. I think that's the color it's supposed to be. Although, ew. Alright, so update. The camel has been painted. I have wings and stuff scattered everywhere. I also need to tackle the landing gear. Excuse me while I strap this on. Yeah, I've got a new head mount for my GoPro, so maybe you guys can follow along while I use both my hands this time. So the landing gear is brazed automotive brake line tubing. I like working with this stuff. It's light and it's very strong. You got to hit pretty hard to bend it, and if you hit that hard, it does bend, and for the most part, it can save your airplane. You know, it's kind of like a crumple zone. But I noticed a problem here, and that is where these are placed. When I looked at some photographs of other landing gear, I noticed they're placed down lower. And that kind of makes sense as the bungee cord wraps under it and over the axle. So I'm going to literally cut these off or desolder them, debraze them, and I'm going to drop them down here where they're supposed to be. Then I'll be adding more balsa wood fairing onto it, and I think a lot of this was covered with fabric after the wood fairings were put on, and then it was painted. So that's what we're going to do, and then I can go ahead and mount it on the plane. So if the wine is sour, throw it out. I am not perfect, and I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how many times I have gone back and redone something because it's not right. That's one of the frustrating things about World War I aircraft, is that they change things mid-war to the point where it's hard to keep up. There's no standardization, I should say. Some of the Camels were built with steel aerodynamic tubing. Some weren't. I chose not to because this was an earlier model, and they were faired with wood. Then they were the wood was put on there and then had some cloth tape that went around them to hold it on, and then the whole thing was covered with fabric. That cloth tape does show through on some planes. That's how I know how they did it. So I'm going to be doing the same thing. This strap may look loose, but I really don't care. It's just there to kind of fill in. This is hardened stainless steel, but it's a little bit thinner than my rigging couplers, so that's why it's there. And then this screws onto a metal plate that runs crossed on the fuselage to absorb the stress from the flying wires, because all of the wings, when it comes to positive stress, are pulled right here on these wires and these. So this will have some couplers and rigging for it to transfer the load from the top wings down through, over and up to the other top wing. So I hope that was a bit informative. Okay, I did it again. I got working away and forgot to tell you people what I'm doing. All right, the landing gear. What I did, I ended up stripping off all of the balsa wood and getting it right back down to the bare metal because I found some mistakes. Yes, like I said before, I make mistakes. But I put the new balsa wood on there, faired in the new balsa wood, and forgot to show you guys how I did it. It's really not a big secret. This area here, right through here, was done with pine wood. The back part and the front was balsa wood because it's a lot easier to shape. I wanted the pine wood for rigidity. These pieces were balsa wood that were glued to the tubing and then sanded to shape. And then it was covered with SIG coverall. Now this paint's still wet. This tubing is automotive brake line tubing in different sizes. that I have brazed together. Silver braze. This is the stuff. This is really amazing stuff. It works great. Even works on stainless steel. I've been able to do headers on my 60cc S-Bach with it. So anyway, that's what I'm up to on that part of the landing gear. The other one is the wheels. Now these wheels, they're not, well, I guess they're spoked, but they're not exactly bicycle wheels the way the Camel had. So, we're going to, of course, we've got these fancy dancy covers that go on there, right? Well, that covers up some of it, but there's some detail to be had here, and that is on here. Simulated spokes. That's an 832 brass screw that has been drilled slightly down the center to make it look like an air nipple. By the time you get that cover on there, it really looks the part, don't you think? What I'm going to do with this, I want a fabric texture on this because the originals were covered with fabric to get the drag down. So I have some fabric here that I'm going to be putting on, and I'm going to be laying it over into the bead of the tire so that it holds on. And then I'm going to put a reinforcement ring around here on the outside and one around here where the air valve is. And by the time I dope it and paint it, that will really look like it's supposed to look. Anyway, that is the, oh yeah, axles. I've lost me axle. There's one. This is an axle. This is, again, automotive brake line tubing that I have silver braze soldered. This is where the bungee cords go. This sits up in here like so. So the bungee cords wrap around here, around through that saddle, and in here. And it just keeps going back and forth. That's the shock absorbing. So this is going to get painted black, along with any exposed steel over here will be painted black, because that's evidently what they used for corrosion resistance. And then the end of this tube, I used a die to cut a thread on. And you notice there's a hole in there for a cotter key. Well, this will actually go through 90%. Oh, I got glue or something on it. That is not going to work. Well, I tell you what, when I get into building, I get glue and paint and everything just slinging everywhere. I really get into it. And if it's not glue and paint, it's balsa dust. Yeah, I can get quite a cloud going here. Anyway, there's our axle. This is going to be the cover. And you can see that there's just enough sticking out where I can put this nut that I created. It's just a regular nut that I used a Dremel cutoff tool to make the castellations on there. That gets screwed on. Oh, this little spacer gets put in. That gets screwed on, and then we put a cotter key through it. I'll guarantee you these wheels are not coming off this airplane. Okay, what I've done is I've overlaid those plastic pieces with some SIG coverall, and I put some sticks it around the outside, put the tire on, and tightened it. This one has not been tightened yet, but the one that's been tightened looks pretty good. So now I will put a reinforcing ring around the axle area, made out of out of the coverall, and then another one right here where you would fill it up with air. And then some clear dope and some colored dope, and the wheels are done. Okay, here's the landing gear. All done, installed. Bungee cords, check, they work. Stress wires, yep, they're on and tight. All right. So what's next? Sheet metal. Oh yeah, there's my little spokes and air valve, if you can see them in there. Sheet metal work. Should be episode number 12. Please like and subscribe, especially when you like. The YouTube algorithms promote my videos, and it really helps this poor old man out. Anyway, stay tuned for episode 12. It should be out in a week or two, I hope. Bye.